All right, let's start it. All right, we'd like to call to order the Lafayette Parish Council meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilman Carlson to lead us in the prayer, and following that, we'd ask Councilman Tabor to lead us in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity that we have together here tonight. I pray that you would, your hand would be upon this council. You would continue to lead us and guide us, that in everything that we do, we would bring honor to your name. We'd represent you and the people of this parish well. I pray that you would continue to prosper this parish. I pray for our administration as well as the parish and city council, that in all things we would glorify you. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Councilman Carlson. Thank you, Councilman Tabor. All right, welcome to this hot Tuesday. We welcome you to the Lafayette Parish Council meeting. As presiding officer and chair, I'd like to make the following announcements. This is a public hearing. To address the council on any item on this agenda, we ask that you fill out a blue form, or please, we're not calling in, right? We are calling in, okay. You may fill out a blue form, or you may call into 291-8428 to submit your information to the clerk prior to the call of the agenda item, or you will not be given an opportunity to speak. Staff assistance is available if needed. Items for submission to the council should be handed to our wonderful council clerk, Ms. Veronica Williams, who's seated all the way to my left, your right, and she's seated at the far end where the attorneys used to be, so she's acting as a council clerk and attorney today? No? Oh, you're in the back. All right. All right. He's the Joseph today. Way to go. Put him to work. When addressing the council, state your name and title for the official record. We do have a 5-minute rule that will be in effect. There will be no debating or confrontational statements that will be allowed. The front row is for the media only, and that is the front row to the left. Food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and we ask that you please silence all cell phones or electronic devices. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. All documents and reference to the meetings can be found on the LCG website. And finally, the council encourages your involvement in boards or commissions. If interested, please call 291-8800, 291-8800. And I have to say that we do have opportunities, so if you're interested in getting involved with this community and serving on a board, we actually please call 291-8800. What? I ain't got your mic on.
Oh, I forgot I was using the.
Right, say again.
With all the new board adoptions and the restructuring of all the boards, if you go online, all the new board positions, the deadline, resume deadlines, and when the appointments will take place is on the website.
It's all listed on there.
What's the date of the submittal deadlines?
They'll be announced at the July 7th meeting with resume submittal deadlines noon, July 21st, and appointments are scheduled to be made on August 4th.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it. We're going to move on to chair announcements. At this time, I need to announce that item 6, discussion on Project GoMo. The author has requested discussion to be deferred until the July 7th meeting, joint meeting, to allow both council to hear the update and also to allow additional time for Public Works to get more information. Also, announcement, there will be a special joint meeting of the Parish Council and City Council following this meeting here. And those for tuning in from home or other locations, the call number to call in is 291-8428. Again, 291-8428, and that's if you wish to speak. And keep in mind that when you do call in, there is a delay between the two. So as far as for myself, I don't have any announcements to make. So at this time, I'm going to move right along to the council announcements. Any council announcements? Okay, moving right along. We're going to move to Executive Mayor President's Report. At this time, I'd like to recognize our Mayor President, Josh Guillory, at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll reserve most of my comments for the joint meeting, but I would like to announce to the public that I'm excited to see the competition between Councilman Nakane and Councilman Gilbo on who has the most colorful jacket to these meetings. Now, we'll have to say, Councilman Nakane, red's kind of my color, so I might be a little biased on that.
That's okay. I haven't found a red one yet.
I'm waiting to see that.
Yeah. I got the white and the blue.
There we go.
No,
Now,
no
gentlemen,
purple and gold, no purple and
oh,
gold.
hey,
Hey, easy.
so, no, thank you, gentlemen. It's an honor to serve with you, and I'll reserve my extended report for the joint meeting.
Okay, sounds great. All right, let's get the meeting started. Comments from the public. I'll check with Ms. Williams for public comments. Any public comments?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure that you announce, and for me to announce that at this time, when this is your time to speak about topics that are not included on the agenda item. So make sure you're talking about something that's not on the agenda. You are reminded that there's a 5-minute rule that will be in effect, and we want to please keep it very professional. So no debating or confrontational statements will be allowed. So at this time, I'd like to call the first speaker.
First speaker, Takuna El Shabazz.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm trying to get my iPad to act right.
Just state your name and title for the official record.
Takuna Malana El Shabazz,
Okay.
chairperson of CCBE, Conscientious Council of Black Elders. I'm author of the book, Black I Am, Cajun Creole I Am Not. There are currently 3 major killers in the black community: the COVID-19 virus, police brutality, and black self-hate. What does all 3 have in common? All 3 have the same mama and daddy: systemic racism and white supremacy. There's, as we speak, still a global mourning and protest that is taking place for the murder of George Floyd. In just the last few days, there has been a shooting of another black man killed by police officers, and 2 mysterious hanging of black men right on the outside of California. What's killing black people are not guns and ropes, but the systematic debasing of black life and defense and advocacy for white supremacy by white racists. UL, as a public educational institution, the city, parish, Lafayette government, and all its related entities are complicit in giving life to that racist attitude in its reckless and selfish promotion of Cajun, Acadiana, Creole, and the fleur-de-lis symbol. Historically, Cajun and nigger are equivalent racial slurs to black people who know their history. Creole is a sublabel given to light-skinned black slaves who were the offspring of the French slave owners who systematically raped young black girls and black women. Acadiana is just something you made up. The fleur-de-lis is an African flower that white French slave owners molded into a branding iron to brand their runaway slaves for identification. You glorify the story of Cajun history, and it is a testimony of black people's suffering and insult. UL Athletics has a $32 million operating budget, almost $7 million for coaching salaries. However, most black athletes are football players, track runners, and basketball players. The revenue-producing sports. What do the black community at UL get? What do the UL students receive? Nothing but historical distortion, cultural insults, and the debasing of self-identity crisis that often leads to an exacerbating of black denial, a form of self-hatred. Make no mistake, this is a government-funded nigger-making process for black people. The message is clear. Take your knee off the historical and cultural and economic neck of black people. We can't breathe. There are 4 popular chants that you hear the protesters repeat daily. I can't breathe, no justice, no peace. White silence is violence. Black lives matter. The Cajun propaganda issue in southwest Louisiana powder keg. It will blow one day, and it will blow soon. I am encouraged by all those who are standing for what is right. I'm especially encouraged by the boldness of our youth who are fearless, standing firm against great odds. The more black people, especially our youth, understand the potential long-range negative impact of not addressing the issue, that is a greater resistance will occur. Where we believe that or not, time will tell. I say to you, though, that it will. It has to. Where there is the absence of justice, the presence of peace is negated by natural law. I'm going to say that again so you understand. Where there's the absence of justice, the presence of peace is negated by natural law. And this is what you're seeing globally around the world. There's an absence of justice, and what you have is a lack of peace.
Yeah. Thank you. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Kathleen Espinoza, and she will be followed by Kenneth Broussard.
Thank you. My name is Kathleen Espinoza. I'm representing the League of Women Voters of Lafayette. So we are aware of an effort by the councils of Broussard and Youngsville to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Lafayette Parish Council to open an early voting site in the southern end of the parish at the East Regional Public Library. The League would like to go on record as opposing this change unless a site is opened at the main branch of the Lafayette Public Library. The main branch of the library system is larger, accessible by public transit, and centrally located in the parish. Opening a site at the East Regional Library would divert limited parish resources for vital public infrastructure to an area that is not readily accessible to most of the population in the parish. Since early 2017, the League has lobbied that a more accessible early voting location other than the third floor site at 1010 Lafayette Street is necessary to meet the needs of Lafayette Parish voters with disabilities. The existing site is dangerously inadequate. Our efforts and concerns are summarized in an attached document sent to you in a previous communication. Included in this communication is an estimate of cost required for an additional small site or large site. So the League of Women Voters opposes the South Side effort for the following reasons. The East Regional Library is not accessible by Lafayette Transit. The East Regional Library is not the most efficient geographic location to expand access to parish-wide early voting. Most residents in Lafayette Parish would have to travel further to take advantage of this site. When you consider population density across the parish, the main library is centrally located in the most densely populated part of Lafayette Parish. The East Regional Library services a much less densely populated part of the parish. The East Regional Library branch is not as large as the main branch. It is clear that the COVID-19 pandemic will be a factor in the November 2020 election cycle. We ask that the council reflect on these priorities and the safety of all early voters. The League is wary of the arguments some have conveyed regarding making early voting more convenient for those living in Youngsville and Broussard. This, we feel, is an argument of privilege that overlooks the realities of how the institutional power of a few can more easily access public dollars and vital services at the expense of those less powerful. Expanding access to the ballot is central to the League of Women Voters' mission. Lafayette has a voter turnout problem. Expanding access to the ballot is vital for democracy and depends absolutely on the judicious hands of those elected to provide access. In the interest of justice and democracy, we urge this council to facilitate the process for an additional fully accessible early voting site. I do want to just add that it's late to just talk about it. This is just a few months away, and you really need to take action at the next meeting. Thank you.
Next speaker is Kenneth Broussard, followed by the final speaker, Marshall Broussard.
Good evening.
Could you pick up?
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for this privilege. The murders of Mr. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery have stirred gut-wrenching grief and outrage in me. As one who has lived a privileged existence because of my race, an accident of my birth, I must speak up at this time, especially to the white community. The local and global demonstrations against racist police brutality brought my privilege home and raised the question in me, why do my black brothers and sisters continue to face constant suspicion, mistrust, and paranoia from white individuals and institutions? The answer came back very clearly: racism. Lafayette's racism was once very overt during the eras of Jim Crow and even in the segregation era in the 60s. Now it's a bit more overt, insidious, and pervasive. We white people have been acculturated to presume and believe that white is right, that our standards are the only measure and the best standards by which everybody else needs to be measured. The bias that we possess and hold is sometimes and very often unconscious to us because we think we are progressive and we've grown out of it. However, it is often unconscious and informs subtly our worldview, our relationships, our choices, and our decisions. And unless we become aware of how that bias operates within us, that racism operates within us and within the systems that we control, we continue to perpetuate the sin of racism. That's where I'm coming from, and so I have 3 requests for the council and the city council as well. Mr. Mayor, if you'll pass this on. First, I'm going to ask that you commit yourselves individually first, and then as a body, to becoming anti-racist, that you examine and challenge your current beliefs about the topic of racism, as well as your beliefs about your personal racist actions, beliefs, and thoughts. And I'd like you, as you do that for yourself, to see how that informs the systemic racism that is prevalent in this country, in our city, in our daily lives. As an assist to that examination, I'd like to refer you to the book White Fragility by Dr. Robin DiAntonio, who helps us white folks look at our racism and talk about what it is and what it isn't. And if you don't have time to pick up another book or to read, I recommend that you look at her YouTube videos. They're quite informative. You can watch snippets of them, think about it, and go back, discuss it, those kinds of things. So second, I would ask that you conduct an inventory, review, and revision of policies, procedures, and practices of the Lafayette City Police and the Parish Sheriff's Office based on the recommendations made by the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. It was published in 2015 and gives a great blueprint to measure where our police and forces are. And my final request to this elected body is to move the racist idol to white supremacy out of the town center in front of the old City Hall. I think that would be a fitting gesture of understanding and willingness to address deeper racist issues affecting our community and our black brothers and sisters. The monstrosity has been there for 98 years. And it's time that we take it down. We take it down from the city center. We take that white supremacy down from our hearts, and we take it down from our policies and procedures. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Final speaker, Marshall Broussard.
Good evening. I won't thank you for the privilege because I earned it by becoming a white citizen of this country, totally by an accident of birth. Why am I here? I'm here because recent events nationwide and in the city have caused me to reflect on my upbringing. It has been one of as a native of Lafayette for my entire life, except for the period I spent in the U.S. Air Force. I want to start by relating to you that I am here because I have been moved. I have been moved by memories of my growing up that I will share with you shortly. And I have been moved by the people of Lafayette who have been marching, as have some of you. But I'm also here to say that I've come to realize that marching is not enough and that I am guilty. I am guilty not only of not marching enough, but of not standing up before august bodies such as this and not speaking to my friends, white and black, on the need to continue the struggle. So I want to share a couple of stories with you growing up. And I have to tell you that I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed because I haven't shared these stories over the years. The first one I want to share with you is when I was about 6 years old. My neighbors asked me to accompany them to Lafayette on a shopping tour. And if those of you who are old enough may remember Lafayette, where Saturday mornings were crowded sidewalks. And I've only found out recently that the Jim Crow laws said that white only were allowed on Saturday shopping centers. But on that Saturday morning, I was walking on the left-hand side of the sidewalk, and I came upon an elderly black man who was limping. I came face to face with him, and I was about that high, and I said, "Excuse me," and I moved out of the way. And as I was doing that, he stepped off the sidewalk onto the curb. And as a 6 or 7 year old, I had been taught some degree of etiquette, and I was sort of shocked by that. But my neighbor said to me, "You don't have to say excuse me." And that memory has stuck with me for years because even as a child, I understood there was some imbalance there. The second memory I want to share with you is at the wake of my father, who died my first year at UL in 1963, beginning of my second semester. We were crowded in grief at the Martin and Castile Funeral Home on that first night. And into the evening, after dark, I was ashamed and shocked to see Edna, our maid, our colored maid for as long as I could remember, showing up at the door. And why was I ashamed? Because we forgot about Edna. She had walked all the way from North St. Antoine with her daughter on a cold evening, relatively cold evening. She had walked to attend my father's wake. And in my heart, I was totally ashamed, and I still am ashamed to tell you that I had not even thought of the lady who helped us grow up. I have a third memory I want to share with you that occurred with me yesterday. That happened to me yesterday. This memory is going to live forever as well. At the march, I saw a gentleman in a wheelchair missing 2 legs. So I walked over to help him to ask if I could assist him in any way, and he said no. And in that conversation I had with him, and I'm going to hurry up here, he revealed to me cases of police brutality in Lafayette. So I'm here to tell you it exists here, it hasn't gone away, and I'm going to ask you for 2 things. First is I'm going to ask you that we review our police department, that we try to recall and discipline any racist issues of overbearance or excessive force, and that we discipline those guilty. Second, I'm going to join my brother in saying the symbol of Alexander Mouton needs to be removed. The symbol is too powerfully stating an ancient idea, and an idea whose time is past. I'm asking you this humbly, and I hope you can share with me the reasons I'm doing it, because out of guilt and shame. And let's remove that guilt and shame by action. The first action I want.
Sir, if your 5 minutes was up, I'll let you go
I have
past it.
27 seconds on the clock.
No, that's over. You're over that time.
Oh, over that.
You're
I beg
over
your
20
pardon.
seconds.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank
Final
you.
speaker is Khadijah Rashad.
Good evening. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I wanted to speak about having the Cajun Dome as the Cajun Dome, when in actuality, Cajun and nigger were both derogatory terms. Doing integration, whenever we would call little niggers, we would call them little Cajuns or redneck. And it's so derogatory, and I found it very, very disappointing that every time there's things going on at the Cajun Dome, some of us can't attend because of the simple fact, to us, it is the same as Cajun versus nigger. And I think that that's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed rightfully from Louisiana as a honorable discharged veteran with medals from Louisiana that traveled all over the country. People would still equate us as being Cajuns until I would have to like break down the history. And I don't know if some of you remember Agnes Derwan, who was one of TV3 first black reporters. She used to monopolize the airways with "Welcome to Acadiana," which is not actually accurate. It would be considered Southwest Louisiana. However, because of her personality, she helped bring it to the next level. And then with us having the Cajun Dome as the Cajun Dome, and having people such as myself that can't attend the functions, that's very, very disheartening, because my taxpayers is worth as much as your taxpaying, as you being a taxpaying citizen. I wanted to also say that that's one of the main things that I was interested in, is speaking on behalf of the dorm. And if indeed, I don't understand, it was supposed to be another name, I'm not sure. I think it was the Bulldog, I'm not a whole 100% sure, but what it was supposed to be? Lafayette Civic Center. That's right. That's what it was supposed to be, the Lafayette Civic Center. And so I don't know if you all have any power or if you are willing to do something that is actually correct. But I do know that it does exclude a lot of people in our community for not attending. I also wanted to mention about the case of brutality which exists here, the case of just homegrown racism that has been with us for years and years and years. And as a little kid going to the school, a teacher would this particular teacher in our classes would always bring the black kids from the back of the classroom and put them in the front. She would draw a circle on the blackboard, and the black kids, they had to like take and put their nose in that circle with their hands out with books in it, and you just had to stay there until she deemed it right for you to get up. And she did that to a lot of the black kids. But when it was time, when she did it to my baby sister, I was able to call my mother. My mother came and slapped her backwards, charges was filed against my mother, and I just wanted to say, as a unpleasing product of that, it still exists today, and because we're so mature and we're so much better, we're trying to overcome what's been going on and what has continued to go on, and it's up to some of our leaders, our leaders, that will take the initial stand, just like removing the Mouton statue and just bringing it a couple of minutes over to their museum. You know, so many other things that we could do that would be so much more pleasing coming from our elected leaders here in Southwest Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No other speakers, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right. Moving along, discussion item, just to remind everyone that has been deferred until July 7th. So now we'll move over to ordinances for final adoption. This is a public hearing. Blue sheets or calls are available for anyone wishing to address the council. The 5-minute rule does apply. Chairman, please read first ordinance.
Parish Ordinance 21, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council declaring the building or structure located at 1005 Carmel Drive, Lafayette, Louisiana, owned by Roy Lee Picard, Darrell James Picard, Michael Wayne Picard, Rocky Romero, and Rusty Romero, care of Gerald J. Block, attorney appointed, to be dilapidated and dangerous to the public welfare and ordering the condemnation of same.
Need a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Carlson, second by Councilman Tabor. Any council discussion? Seeing Ms. Williams, any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, please call the roll.
District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? Yes. Motion to adopt is approved. Parish Ordinance 22, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council declaring the Prejean Road Box Culvert Project a public necessity and authorizing the acquisition of the necessary rights-of-way, immovable property, and other property rights requisite to the construction of said project, either on an amicable basis or through the use of the expropriation process if necessary.
Need a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Gilbo. Any council discussion on this item? Seeing none. Ms. Williams, any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, please call the roll.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? Yes. District 1? Yes. Motion to adopt is approved. Parish Ordinance 23, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 capital budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by transferring $3,000 from LA Coupe Extension Service Project, RPL Midsize SUV 1, to Coroner Office AC replacement for additional funding needed.
Okay, need a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman Carlson. Any council discussion? Seeing none. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Call the roll, please.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? Yes. District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
Motion to adopt is approved. Parish Ordinance 24, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 capital budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by transferring $150,000 park improvements parish-wide in the cultural economy fund to specific parish park projects in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Okay, need a motion and a second. Motion by Carlson, second by AB. Any council discussion? Seeing none. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Please call the roll.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5? Yes. District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
Motion to adopt is approved.
Okay, we're gonna now move to introductory ordinances. I'm gonna ask for a motion and a second to intro and global items 11 and 12. Gonna get a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson. Jeremy, can you please read?
Parish Ordinance 25, 2020, an ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government and the City of Carencro concerning the surface improvements to Thoroughbred Drive. Parish Ordinance 26, 2020, An ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to enter into an assignment and assumption agreement by and between the Parish of Lafayette and the City of Youngsville relating to the transfer and assignment of the Parish of Lafayette's leasehold interest in and to Foster Park to the City of Youngsville.
Okay, is there any comments from the public concerning introductory ordinances?
No, sir.
All right, at this time, go ahead and, I don't see any council discussion, no public comment. Call a vote to consider items 11 and 12 in global.
District 5?
Yes.
District 1?
Yes.
District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
Motion to introduce in globo is approved.
All right. Thank you so much. We'd like to adjourn the regular parish council meeting and stay tuned to the upcoming joint meeting.
What side are they on? Oh, I need to do that.